Hello everyone and welcome back to my playlist of pharmacology. We are doing this from Lippencott. GI drugs हम discuss कर रहे हैं. And today is going to be the last topic of this chapter. And we will discuss drugs which are used to treat inflammatory bowel disease. Now, inflammatory bowel disease is a group of disorder which basically contains two different phenotypes, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. They are very commonly seen in the clinical practice and therefore they are also very routinely tested in the examinations. तो जो inflammatory bowel disease है, it's a group of idiopathic chronic intestinal condition. So by and large the causes are not known and they are characterized by immune mediated GI tract inflammation in response to bacterial antigens in the intestinal lumen. So it is believed that this sort of disorder basically takes place because of an immune reaction to a lot of bacterial antigen. Now we get bacteria quite a lot in the food, there are bacteria in the gut, and some of the antigen can be the initiating feature for this inflammatory reaction, which is known as inflammatory bowel disease. अब इसमें दो कैटेगरीज हैं, दो सब टाइप्स हैं जो हर वक्त डिस्कस होती हैं. वन इज द क्रॉन डिजीज एंड द अदर वन इज अल्सरेटिव कोलाइटिस. इसकी पैथोजेनेसिस हम पैथोलॉजी में डिटेल में डिस्कस करते हैं बिकॉज वो एग्जाम्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बट ब्रीफली, Crohn's disease can affect any portion of the GI tract from mouth to anus. That's one characteristic feature. And it can be a non-continuous, यानी एक part of the bowel involve हो रहा है, पता चले एक part ये वाला देखें involve हो रहा है, फिर ये हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, बीच में सारा sparing area है. लेकिन जो ulcerative colitis है वो usually एक continuous inflammation होती है. So there can be non-continuous fashion in Crohn's disease and it is characterized by transmural inflammation, यानी the whole length of the intestinal wall is affected. This is what we call transmural. Now, ulcerative colitis, on the other hand, it usually affects the colorectum, rectum more routinely, and it may extend continuously to affect other parts of the colon, and it is limited usually to the mucosa of the layer, so only on the mucosal side, not throughout the wall. So, अगर आप wall draw कर रहे हैं, you know there is mucosa and then other layers, so only mucosal layer is affected, but in Crohn's disease, it is transmural. Okay. Now, severity, extent of the disease, and risk of the complications guide the treatment. Remission of IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, can be induced with the use of rectal and oral 5 amino salicylates, corticosteroids, and other biologic agents, and we'll talk about all of them in a minute. Drugs which are used to maintain remission are, remission मतलब reverse कर दें आप disease को, disease present हुई, you remove the disease, okay? और उसी remitted या remission वाले stage में उसको रखने के लिए, then there are some other drugs. So there are induction of remission and then maintenance of remission. There are also some, because this is an immune mediated disorder, so there are also some immune therapies available and we'll talk about them in a minute. So that is a good diagram showing you a couple of features. Number one, that the Crohn's disease affect any part of the intestine, and then it is also patchy. So there is normal part and then there is affected part, then there is normal part, affected part, things like that. And ulcerative colitis usually is only mucosal. It starts usually in rectum and then it can ascend in a continuous fashion, right? Easy peasy bit up till now. Now, this table, as you know, Lippencott always summarizes things and then explain the things. So we will start discussion on each one of them, but that is a good table. That there is one category which is called amino salicylates, 5 amino salicylates. They are present in oral formulation as well as in rectal formulation. So the oral formulation commonly used are belsalazide, mesalamine, very commonly used, olsalazine, sulfasalazine, also very commonly used, and there are some brand names as well. And then there are some rectal formulation which are mesalamine, same as mesalamine here, but this is in the enema form, mesalamine suppository form. Okay, then we also use corticosteroids. So the first category of drug is amino salicylates. The second category of drug is corticosteroid, can be used orally, can be used IV or rectally. Okay, then there are biological agents, the third category, such as TNF alpha inhibitors, adalimumab, tolizumab. ये mab जब कभी word आ जाता है, it means monoclonal antibody, and this is an indication that this is an immunotherapy. Infliximab, golimumab, and then there are alpha-4 integrin inhibitors and interleukin inhibitors, 12 and 13, ustekinumab. Then we also sometimes use for maintenance immunomodulators, including azathioprine, mercaptan urine में I would recommend going through this table a few times unless you memorize them, because this is important. So there are only 4 classes of drug that you have to worry about. The first one of them is Amino Salicylate. And there are 2 types of 5-amino salicylate compounds. They are azo compounds and the mesalamine compounds. Okay, अब अगर आप इनके नाम देखें दोबारा इस टेबल में, so so there are azo compounds and there are mesalamine compounds. So things become easier when you start them studying with concepts. जो azo compounds हैं, they are products that consist 5 amino salicylates molecule which are bound via an azo bond, and that's why they're called azo compounds, right? These include balsalazide and olsalazine. नाम में as a आ रहा है, so azo compounds, okay? Also sulfasalazine, you see AZ is also there. The oral mesalamine compounds consist of single 5-amino salicylate molecule enclosed with an enteric coat. That's orally available, that's fine. The first 5-amino salicylate agent that was used in the treatment of IBD was sulfasalazine, so that has a historical perspective. It's a prodrug consisting of 5-alpha-salicylamine linked to, this is not important information for exams. Colonic bacteria cleave the sulfasalazine to produce 5-amino salicylates, so that's an important one, okay? When it became known that 5-amino salicylates was responsible for efficacy of sulfasalazine, while sulfapyridine was mainly responsible for the adverse effects. So we now have some detailed information कि जब ये compound intestine में metabolize होता है तो कौन सा उसका component important है और कौन सा actually adverse effects cause करता है, okay? However, unlinked 5-amino alpha salicylates is rapidly absorbed, only 30% reaching the site of action in the terminal ileum and colon. So this is an important point. It's a very small amount which is reaching to the colon, and that's the amount that we need actually, because colon में काम करना है, colon में inflammation है, okay? Therefore, other azo-bonded compounds with various formulations were developed to limit the absorption of 5-amino salicylate. आप सोचें ना कि आपको ये पूरा oral cavity से लेके फिर stomach, फिर small intestine, large intestine तक पहुंचाना है basically इसको. तो इससे पहले अगर ये absorb हो रहा है intestine में, you don't want that. इसीलिए फिर इसका जो प्रोड्रग मॉलिक्यूल था सल्फासालिन, उसमें फिर मॉडिफिकेशन करके नए ड्रग्स बनाए. सो फॉर एग्जांपल compared to sulfasalazine, mesalamine formulations and other azo compounds, they have improved tolerability with similar efficacy, and now they are the mainstay for the therapy. So that's all important discussion for your exams, okay? What is the action? It exhibits anti-inflammatory actions. Also, it suppresses immune reactions, and this is what you need in IBD. The exact mechanism is, however, unknown, but is thought to be due in part to inhibition of cytokine synthesis, leukotriene and prostaglandins, and scavenging free radicals. Also inhibit T-cell proliferation and impairment of leukocyte adhesion function. Now, it's kind of generally inhibiting the overall inflammation. And look at this, how interesting is this? A very important and routinely used drug, and the exact mechanism of action in IBD is actually not known. Okay, and that's what happens. I mean, that's in pharmacology. Old, people in the early ages when things were being discovered, trial and error. They used to run drugs on certain either animals or sometimes on humans. They used to give it, and if there were beneficial effects, they were reported. So therapeutically, it is used in the treatment of IBD, particularly ulcerative colitis. Rather, it is mainstay of the treatment in ulcerative colitis. All 5-amino salicylates formulation and sulfasalazine are indicated in ulcerative colitis for induction as well as maintenance. So it's very, very important, okay? Crohn's disease the efficiency has not been to the similar level. So it's more sort of a ulcerative colitis drug, okay? They are variable pharmacokinetic wise and dependent on the route of administration and type of formulation that you use. There are some drugs which are rapidly absorbed. There are some drugs which are not. So absorption of 5-ASA increase with more severe disease and decrease with decreasing pH. Very important line for pharmacokinetics. In ulcerative colitis, they work by local effect. Therefore, they have to reach to the site of inflammation, and that is very important. Okay. Sulfasalazine is administered orally, while sulfapyridine component have significant absorption But now with the newer formulation, the absorptive capacity has been reduced so that more drug reaches to the site of inflammation. Obviously, like other drugs, it also has side effects, and they occur in almost half of the patients, and by and large due to sulfapyridine component of the drug. Headache, nausea, fatigue, they are very common. There are some serious stuff such as myelosuppression, anemia, hemolytic anemia. These drugs are notorious for causing hemolytic anemia. You'll always study these drugs when you talk about hemolytic anemias: hepatitis, pneumonitis, nephrotoxicity, hypersensitivity, even the Stevens-Johnson rare. So these are all very serious complications. Sulfasalazine reversibly impair also the male fertility, or very serious complication as well. Sulfasalazine also inhibit intestinal folate absorption, so it causes a lot of bad things, and you must read all of them. Okay, it's kind of an read it multiple times and ultimately you'll remember them. Pharma is a little difficult as far as the pharmacokinetic and side effects and drug interactions for each and every drug is considered. Okay, but anyways, that's the first class of the drug used for inflammatory bowel disease, more so for ulcerative colitis. Okay, and then the table, I'll be referring back to this table again and again. The first group of drug is amino salicylates. Let's now talk about corticosteroid, the second group of drug which are used in inflammatory bowel disease. Now they are generally anti-inflammatory, so they block inflammation wherever it is. Although very effective in inducing remission in inflammatory bowel disease, long-term maintenance with corticosteroid is always a problem, and corticosteroid causes a lot of side effects leading to Cushing type features and whatnot. So you always have to be very careful when using corticosteroids. Now rectal formulations have fewer adverse effects as per the systemic steroids. So maybe if there are side effects and you don't want a lot of side effects to continue, maybe you want to shift on rectal formulations. Enteric release preparations of oral budesonide deliver corticosteroid to a portion of the inflamed intestine, and that's something very good because we want to target intestine itself. This agent has minimal systemic adverse effect due to low bioavailability, so looks like a good agent, right? Although systemic exposure is less than other corticosteroids, the use of budesonide is in extended maintenance of remission is limited because there are always concerns when you're using corticosteroids, whatever category, if you use them long term. They are always causing side effects, okay? Then very recently used drugs are the biologic agents. Now these are, for example, the TNF alpha inhibitors. So if you talk about these particular group of drugs, they are parenteral agents. You give them IV, and they are effective both induction and maintenance of IBD. Infliximab, that's a monoclonal antibody, and adalimumab, also monoclonal antibody, they are indicated in both moderate to severe Crohn's disease as well as ulcerative colitis. Then certolizumab, another monoclonal antibody. So they are all monoclonal antibodies because they are inhibiting TNF. So these are the antibodies which inhibit TNF. Okay. So certolizumab is indicated from moderate to severe Crohn's disease as well. There is another one called golimumab that's only for ulcerative colitis, and they are pretty effective. They are generally reserved as a second line agent. The first line agent, you know, is the 5-ASA, and then you use corticosteroids. But now then you have another armamentarium available, which is these inhibitors. Okay, these agents are associated with development of immunogenicity and anti-drug antibodies, and that can lead to ultimate loss of response in quite a lot of patients. So that becomes immunogenicity and sensitivity towards the drug. So drugs just don't work, right? Another group of biological agent is alpha-4 integrin inhibitors. They are adhesion molecules. I'm talking about alpha-4 integrins. They promote leukocyte migration. So if you block these adhesion molecules, leukocyte coming to the site of inflammation is reduced, and therefore they are used. Okay. So example being vedolizumab exhibit a specific binding to alpha-4 beta-7 integrin, so it inhibits leukocyte migration, and that is used both for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Has also side effects: nausea, vomiting, headache. They are very common. Also cause arthralgia and musculoskeletal pains. Then we have a group of drugs known as interleukin inhibitor 12 and 23, particularly ustekinumab, which particularly inhibits interleukin 12 and 23, and they are very much involved in lymphocyte activation. So you try to block lymphocyte activation. Okay, also has severe side effects. Now, these are the biological agents. Let's move on to the last category, which is the immunomodulators. So, obviously, as the name indicates, they will modulate the immune system, and they include methotrexate and azathioprine, cis mercapturine. Methotrexate has also been used in several cancer conditions, also in rheumatoid arthritis, and azathioprine is sometimes used in kidney transplant. So because of their capacity to affect the proliferating and immune cells. Okay, so methotrexate, for example, it's actually a structural analog to folic acid, and it inhibits the production of folinic acid. And the exact mechanism of action that works in Crohn's disease, we don't know. Only intramuscular or subcut administration of methotrexate has been known for showing efficacy in Crohn's disease. Methotrexate is recommended monotherapy option for maintenance of remission. So it's not recommended as a first line anyways. Common adverse effects of methotrexate, it's common for all sorts of therapy. चाहे आप cancer treat कर रहे हो इससे या rheumatoid arthritis treat कर रहे हो, all these side effects are pretty common and seen. Rash, for example, liver dysfunction, so aminotransferases are elevated, headache, nausea, vomiting, ये तो आपने हर ड्रग में बोलना ही होता है. Abdominal discomfort. Okay. Now, daily administration of folic acid is effective at reducing the incidence of GI adverse effects. So you give folic acid alongside. Okay. Then azathioprine and mercapturine, they are oral medications that have corticosteroid-sparing effects in patients with all these diseases, which are IBDs. They are considered first line as monotherapy for maintenance of remission. So once you induce remission and then you maintain remission, and they are very important drugs for that. But they have some serious side effects as well, such as bone marrow suppression and liver problems. Okay, so you always have to then continue the blood counts of these patients, because you want to monitor blood suppression, and you also have to do liver function test all the time so that you monitor the liver function. So this is the group of drugs that we use for inflammatory bowel disease. Some of them have more efficacy towards ulcerative colitis and some towards Crohn's disease, and some of them have really serious side effects. But this table is very important, so focus on the table. Look at the 4 groups of drugs and then study about each one of them as I did. So first group is amino salicylates, then we have corticosteroids, then biological agents including TNF-alpha inhibitors, interleukin inhibitors, and adhesion molecule inhibitors, and finally the immunomodulators. So that's all about this chapter. The chapter is done. So we are done with chapter number 40. Okay, all the very best, and I'll see you in another chapter of pharmacology very soon. Take care of yourself.